Programs. Joining us on the line is a good friend of the station. He's been on a couple of times with the boys on 10K Radius. Jono Vandor. Jono, welcome to Shabbat Shalom.
G'day, Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much for having me on the program. It's great to be back on JAir.
Pleasure, and
lovely to have you.
And let me introduce you to Lily Steiner. She's my co-presenter.
G'day, Lily, and let me just say, I want to give a shout out to your mum. I'm glad she's feeling better.
She is. I called her during this song, so makes me happy.
Good. G'day, Lily's mum. And can I also, while I've got you, can I shout out to Nathan Mond and Max? Of course, Maurice, you said you were doing 10K Radius before as well.
I will have to do. I've already done 2 hours today.
My goodness.
This is the second shift. This is the afternoon shift.
Right.
Thank God he loves it.
And Jono, I sort of gave our listeners a bit of background about you. Israel on My Mind. You present a program on Israel News Talk Radio, our sister station, and I've heard the program on numerous occasions. Excellent stuff. Tell our listeners a little bit about it and how it came about and who your co-presenter is.
Sure. Well, my co-host is Ross Nichols of United Israel. He's actually in Israel at the moment, deep in the desert, doing research for a book that he's writing. He's down in south of the Dead Sea in Iravot, Biblical Tamar Park. He's very, very excited. I spoke to him just a couple of days ago, and he's it's amazing what he's discovering there. But in his stead, I had Penina Taylor filling in for him on the program for the last couple of weeks, and she did a wonderful job. She, of course, presents A Leap of Faith, which airs on Sundays, Israel time at 5 p.m. I'm on her program this weekend. And so it was great to have her. But Israel on My Mind is a program on Israel News Talk Radio. It's a program that presents a lighter side of Israel. Sometimes news in Israel can be challenging, and we like to be able to offer some relief from that because, of course, there's always good news stories, humorous stories, happy stories that go on in Israel as well, and we like to follow and highlight those. And that's what Israel on My Mind is all about. Look, Ross and I have been friends for a very long time. We conduct tours together in Israel, and we have a lot in common in as far as a love for the Hebrew Bible and a love for the land. And it's just a great pleasure of mine to be able to share so much time with him.
Now,
I'd be happy to.
Jono, as you mentioned, you have taken a number of tours to Israel. You're a bit of a guide, and you've got one coming up in conjunction with Israel News Talk Radio and our friends from the Australian Jewish Association with David Adler. This is going to be taking place March next year. Tell us about this.
That's right. So the tour that we usually do is the Tanakh tour, and it's mostly a tour that's based on the biblical text, and we do that year to year. This one is very different. This one takes a focus more on military history, current security strategies, politics and policies, local people, rabbis, and various political figures, and so on and so forth. It's a very different focus, and I'm very excited to be organising this as a member of the Australian Jewish Association. The Australian Jewish Association, I have to say, Dr. David Adler, who is the president of the association, wonderful person, someone certainly worth rallying behind. The Australian Jewish Association, of course, I encourage everyone to be members. Israel News Talk Radio is very much the same audience, and so it seemed to make sense to bring both audiences together and to offer to them a tour that would be of particular interest to them, presenting Israel in the way that they do. And so we're looking forward to starting this tour in March, as you mentioned, March 2020. We're calling it the 2020 Vision Israel Tour. And I like that, 2020 Vision, because there's so much misinformation in the news about Israel, right? Fake news that we see all the time about Israel. And we'd like to be able to present the facts on the ground in the places that are so often reported on, to show people what it's really like. And this is what it's all about.
Sounds absolutely fabulous. And perhaps you could document it visually and stream it as well. Would be a wonderful thing. And we also are very, very impressed with David Adler and what he's managed to achieve with this group. And we are certainly both fully paid up signed members as soon as we were able.
All the way with the AJA, yes.
Absolutely.
All the way with the AJA. That's got to be a promo. I like that.
You know, maybe you could help me out with there. I went to a restaurant in Jerusalem where the chef made the whole meal was out of biblical quotes from the Bible, of course, but it was all foods made with herbs and vegetables and things that were mentioned in the Bible. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about? Because I don't remember the name of it.
That sounds like something worth looking up, though. I mean, we visit lots of places in Jerusalem for lunches and whatnot, and actually we have our final farewell lunch at the Quarter Cafe restaurant, which has a beautiful view over the Temple Mount. Looking forward to that. But you've piqued my curiosity. I'm going to have to look that one up.
Yes, it was a tiny little restaurant. It was just down, the steps where all the art galleries and things are. So it wasn't in a far away place. And it was a small private dinner, but each course the chef came in and gave us the passages from the Bible where the particular herb or fruit or whatever it was mentioned, and it was the most magnificent, spectacular dinner I've ever been to, right in the heart of Jerusalem.
Wow.
And for some reason, I didn't take a card. It must have been the wine that came with the meal or something.
Could have been.
Well, that's another thing that we're going to be doing is not only do we have a focus on politics and the IDF and so on and so forth, but we're also going to be stopping at various wineries, and in particular wineries in the Shomron and in Judea. We want to support the communities in the so-called West Bank, right? And there's some really, really good ones, I have to say. There's some excellent wine coming
And
out.
are you aware that there's actually a place that makes whiskey up there?
You know what? We're going to go there.
Bring some back. Bring some back.
An Israeli whiskey.
I want to try it.
Absolutely.
Can you get it here?
No, you can't get it here.
There's one in Tel Aviv and there's one in the Golan Heights. We will be going to the distillery in the Golan Heights and sampling some of the goodness there.
Beautiful. Now, you're also part of the tour is going to connect everyone with both the ancient modern military history of Israel, security strategies and common sense politics. It sounds really a must to do. Listen, there are lots of tours to Israel. UIA, JNF, everybody has missions and tours to Israel. This is the first one that the Australian Jewish Association is presenting. I think, it's a great time of the year, March 17th, 25th. It's not too cold and it's not too hot. It's a beautiful time of the year. Yep. You're coming off winter. Let's hope it's another wet winter. Last time when I was there in Israel earlier in the year, I've never seen Israel so green. So it's a great time of the year.
And we're more than happy to keep promoting it as you fill in more details on the itinerary, and would love to see if we could even come along.
Well, I think we should try and connect when you're on tour, Jono. Get a little of update of what you've been doing and where you're on the way to that particular day.
Do you think JM would send me as a correspondent?
No, we will certainly endeavour to do that, because right now, what is it? It's about coming up to 8:30 in the morning on Friday morning in Israel time. We can certainly organise to chat with you guys when we're over there. But yeah, March is a beautiful time of the year, lovely temperature, and all the flowers are coming out, of course.
And they're beautiful. They're just beautiful. Israel's just a beautiful country. It's lush. It's got so many the colours of Israel are breathtaking.
So
and it's so tiny. When you think of how tiny it is, especially in contrast to all the huge Arab land piles around it.
That's so true.
It's so diverse. And not only diverse, but there are areas like down in the south that have their problems, but they're still far enough away that each area is completely different.
That's it. And I have to say, although Israel is so small, we definitely have trouble fitting in everything that we want to do. There's so much to do and so much to see that putting an itinerary together can be a little bit of a challenge, thinking, because there's always something that you have to leave out. But we do have our itinerary together where we are very happy with it. Not only do we have an excellent itinerary and an exciting itinerary, but we get to bring not just David Adler along, but Tamar, Yonah, will be joining us.
Yes.
And everybody knows that she's very, very passionate, the manager and host of Israel News Talk Radio. I'm really looking forward to that because this is the first time that she's ever done something like this.
Wow.
And of course, my colleague Ross from Israel on My Mind, he will be there. And we will be joining up with my friend Rabbi Tovia Singer, who's just made Aliyah to Jerusalem. So that's going to be great as well.
Outstanding. Now, have we given this tour a name?
We have, as I said, this is
Come along for the first, what's the name of the tour?
Vision
2020 Vision Israel Tour.
I missed it. Sorry, I was focusing on something else. 2020 Vision Israel Tour. Of course, it's right in front of me.
There it is.
I've printed something off.
Bypass the fake news and view Israel with perfect clarity, the 2020 Vision Israel Tour.
All right, Jono, that's wonderful. Look, we'll have you back on before you head over.